video, I explored the origins of the Sweet Dude effect, a term referring to popular creators getting an advantage to each concurrent release just because of their popularity. The effect, of course, being named after the popular creator Sweet Dude. I ended up playing all 62 of his levels in total, all of them having quite the range of quality. Sadly, I never ended up finding any hidden gems, that is, with one exception. To the Happy Park was the single outlier in Sweet Dude's discography. Playing that level, I had more than a few positive things to say about it. I explained its appeal for a couple minutes in full, but it was best summarized as this. I think the more shit he piles on the screen, the better it gets. This level feels even more Christmassy than his Christmas levels. Think about it. This level looks like one of those families that spend their life savings on lights every year. Just a colorful fucking monstrosity that really puts you in the mood. That wasn't true. If you watched the video, you would know that he ended up continuing in the route of piling more shit on the screen. The final result was complete implosion. But all of that happened 5 years ago now. Surely within half a decade, someone better would come around to replace him. But that never happened. In 2.0, a new trend came in of more bouncy and pastel effect levels, and psychedelic effect levels died out. 2.0 was the update of Sapunge, and there wasn't enough room for any classic effect levels anymore. The old school psychedelic effect level was just abandoned, and layouts and travel levels took their place as the dominant effect style. It seemed as if we would never get any classic effect levels ever again, and for a very long time that was the correct assumption to make. Until 2018. Bubbling in the underground was obscure effect creator Bagingi, a shitposter who never made a full level in his life. But in 2018 he took a break from shitposting and released Bagingi Ate the Snow. The main takeaway from this level would be the effects on the blocks that for the time were almost hypnotizing. It's so simple and so effective, yet it's hard to believe that nobody thought of it. For multiple consecutive years, Bagingi's level sat unrated, bubbling under 500 downloads as everyone forgot about it pretty quick. Except for a few, and without recent trends, it would probably never happen at all. An offshoot of modern, which is commonly referred to as tech, started gaining traction at the time. These levels are generally feature more complex, faster gameplay with more industrial block design while still keeping the mindless fun and colours that are found in modern levels. Unlike modern, this style is mostly found in demon levels, which really lets the creator experiment with different types of gameplay. Not to mention that these levels run with the speed and grace of a sickly crippled snail. The only thing it didn't mess with was effects, which weren't too spectacular and only tend to be limited to pulses and movement effects. That was until... In 2020, some levels started cropping up that inexplicably started using Bagingi's design. The effect is pretty simple to replicate, only using a few pulse triggers on a dark background accompanied by a basic checkerboard-like block design. Creators like Para and OliSW made effect levels that featured Bagingi's design front and center and built entire parts off of it. But there's a problem. Bagingi Ate the Snow is an incredibly slow and moody level. It's pretty minimalist. Most of the great tech levels are on full blast at all times, and that wouldn't really work at all with something like this. So they adapted. In 2019, there was a brief blip in darker tech levels with the release of Just Shapes and Beats, but nothing like how they are right now. They were both modern and tech-related effect levels, but none that were quite like these. For the first time since 1.9, with a couple of exceptions, there were actual real psychedelic effect levels again. And it was only a matter of time before someone made an excellent level to be remembered for years to come. And sure enough, I remember stumbling upon Motivation the day it was released. I remember liking it, but for the life of me, I could never figure out why. I looked at all the comments and everyone was going nuts over it, but it didn't click for me at all. Which seems to happen every single time the level gets overwhelming praise. Save as, kinda found it boring. How? I've seen most of these effects before. Woodkid's just fucking laggy, and it seemed like it would be the same with this. That was until 10 months later, when I realized that Motivation is a Sweet Dude level. What you're supposed to do with Sweet Dude is just shut your brain off, grab a mind-altering substance, and just feel the energy of the level. That's why I couldn't think about why Motivation was a good level, because that's not how it works. I was doing it wrong. But this isn't high art is what I'm saying here. At least that's what I thought, because everyone in the comments loved this goddamn level more than their own children. That is if any of them were over the age of 15. Describing it as a modern sweeter level sums up the appeal pretty well, but I reckon there's an easier way to understand how a rock wizard caught lightning in the tightest and most secure of all the bottles, is by contrasting it with his follow-up, Dark Times. Look at the cube part. What the hell is this blending effect? Why are the spikes completely unaltered from their default state? Why does it have frame drops? Why the dash orb timings? What made him think it was a good idea to have the intro last half the goddamn level? Despite being the same speed as Motivation, it feels so much slower. In Motivation, it's as steady as a metronome. It's always just the right amount of psychedelic, keeping perfect sync with the trout speed, and rides that perfect wave for the entire level. Dark Times is quite an apt title for the level. It's all empty and quite frankly just boring. It has an epic swelling build-up that just lasts half the level, and then once you finally get past it, it's another slow part again. In contrast to Motivation, that's just constantly full force and full of life. Not to mention Dark Times is like 15 nanoseconds long. When you get past all the slow parts and it looks like the level's about to get interesting, it just ends. After you've beaten it, all you can really do is just sit there limp dick in hand, disappointed. Motivation is really short too, but the effect of it being short is unlike what happens in Dark Times. You're never waiting for the interesting part to start because your entire level is the interesting part. Even though it's really short, the entire level feels longer because every part is so dynamic and memorable. It's clear regression that makes me concerned that he'll never make a level as good as Motivation ever again. I haven't seen anyone else really get it either. Sure, there are tons of levels that look like Motivation now, but that's not the important part about it. For the most part, the design is secondary to the atmosphere, that perfect, never-ending wave. The best levels of atmospheric tech blending effects are great for completely different reasons. Like Luster for example, I like that level a lot, but it's not bright or happy at all. It's dark, intense, double the length and triple the difficulty. What I'm saying is it's hard to make a level that has perfect atmosphere in one way or another, and expecting every level to be like that is just ridiculous. That's why I honestly don't know if anyone will ever make a level like it. If Rock Wizard himself can't even get it, then what hope does it leave us? I'm pretty confident that we'll never get another level like Motivation again, and that's a shame. But let's be glad that it ever existed in the first place. Even if it's gonna end up being an anomaly, that's perfectly fine. As much as I would like it, not every level has to be super influential. Many of my favorite levels of all time haven't been played actively for years, sitting under 50k downloads collecting dust, and would never go on to have any influence whatsoever. Let levels like Motivation serve as a reminder to cherish levels like these while you still can, before they're gone.